As long as I am breathing, I have a reason to protect my dragons, to lead Berk, and to find new ways to thrive. All seems well on the Island of Berk, as the Vikings and the dragons live together in peace and harmony, just like I always promised. Now, I, Hiccup, a Viking leader, the official chief of Berk, actually have been the official chief for about 3 years now. I find myself increasingly attracted to Astrid, some people even going so far as we should get married, but not ready for that. Maybe later in the future, but not ready for that. While my beloved dragon, Toothless, meets an enchanting light fury who captures his eye. If you've never seen a light fury, it's basically like the night fury, but they're white, and they're swift, and they're more mystical than meets the eye. But when the evil Grimmel launches a devious plan to wipe out all dragons, both those that belong to Berk or take refuge in Berk or not, I must unite both clans to find Caldera, a hidden land that holds the key to saving Toothless and the rest of the dragons, like all of them. And it may come at a cost. It felt like only yesterday that you guys as an audience journeyed to the Island of Berk and was thrown into the midst of this ongoing battle between Vikings and dragons, where we barely have any winters, the spring comes almost every other year, and the only type of threat we get are dragons, and it never stops. Me, once being an outcast, now turned Viking leader, I, Hiccup, have pulled off the impossible for the Island of Berk in more ways than one. See, this island, this civilization, my people thought that the only way to thrive was by just staying alive. That wasn't thriving, that was just surviving. You don't have to survive. And I told my father, Stoick, you don't have to survive, you can thrive. And he's all like, but the dragons have killed hundreds of us. And I'm like, we have killed thousands of them. If we don't stop now, our death, the extinction and the famine of our people, it's going to be the best case scenario, and it's going to be the winning chance for the dragons to take over. But what if they're not as savage as you think they are? What if their free will was just taken away and they're really peaceful creatures? What started as an accidental apprehension of the first night fury quickly became unarguably the greatest unlikely friendship between a man and a creature. This slowly and solemnly started to breed subtle changes in Berk. First I was doing it, then Astrid was doing it, then the rest of the Viking, my friends, were doing it, and then eventually the entire Island of Berk started to coexist with the dragons. All because of this little oddball who nobody understands made that change. From the Vikings being trained to tame the dragons instead of slaying them, becoming one with the dragons, and fighting off the beast in order to expose the beauty of the creatures, and helping them champion over greater battles by successfully synthesizing the serenity between Vikings and dragons alike. It was always the unlikely forge between Toothless and I that helped to shepherd the Island of Berk into overcoming every mother dragon, every alpha, every tyrannical leader, and every dragon extremist. We've seen it all at this point, and we know that they only come because they want our dragons. But the antagonists that Toothless and I have had to face in the past are far worse than Grimmel here. Trust me. I mean, do you see this guy hypnotizing any dragons to killing any loved ones any now and then? But Grimmel is the antithesis of me. Had I ended up killing Toothless instead of actually befriending it and giving it its name and actually putting a name on it. The ideologies of coexistence and cooperation have been tested time and time again in the first two movies, as Hiccup has broken down barriers and traditions to change the course of Berk for the better. But with the hidden world, Hiccup's codependency to Toothless gets tested. Like, we know you love the dragons. We know they're your greatest asset, and we know that they've been used as your greatest enemy. But what happens when we test your attachment to these dragons, your obsession, your codependency with these dragons? When in doubt, just call Toothless. If I need help, call Toothless. When I'm falling, call Toothless. When I need somebody to talk to, somebody to sympathize with me, or empathize for that matter, just bring Toothless by your side. What happens when you separate those two? Who are you when you're not with Toothless? In addition to maintaining the prosperity of Berk with the coexistence of the dragons, including Toothless, I've had to take up the mantle of chief passed down after the death of my father, Chief Stoick. There is not a minute that goes by where I do not feel the pressure to be more and more like Stoick. I can't lead like my father, and I will never be like my dad. And although I am striving to be the best chief that I can be, I will never come close to Stoick, to my father. Stoick has always promised that he would seek out the hidden world, Caldera, and seal it up so that Vikings and dragons battle no more. I might have grown into my own as the Chief of Berk, but nothing could have prepared me for the discovery of Caldera, the hidden world, and there is more where that came from. Whereas Stoick always intended to find Caldera to cut themselves off from the dragon species, I wish to seek refuge there along with the dragons, but that cannot happen. The dragons need to be their own species. They need to live on their own. Because it's not like they're going to be beastly if we give them that chance to live on their own and not have to coexist with us. The race between myself and Grimmel to locate Caldera coincides with the sudden appearance of a female light fairy who, I must say, it's very beautiful, and I can see that Toothless is in love. The thought of Toothless having a lover with the opposite Fury breed was easily one of the most anticipated parts of the hidden world. But where there is discovery, also lies destiny, because within your self-discovery, that tells you your destiny. When you become found, you understand your fate. In a captivating trilogy about growing up and finding the courage to face the unknown, even dragons, in dragons you've never thought you've seen, and mother dragons above those mother dragons that you thought were in charge. Nothing can ever train you to let go. The primary discernment between myself and Grimmel is that I did not kill the first Night Fury. What I thought was the first Night Fury that I shot down, I didn't kill him when I had the chance, but Grimmel didn't hesitate, and this led us both down opposite paths and approaches and ideals. Grimmel believes that dragons and humans should never coexist because he believes that humans are the alphas. We are the apex predators. I've heard that before. I've seen that before. Didn't go well. And I know that is a popular opinion. So I simply prove him wrong. But Grimmel is inadvertently right. We could never be together. The peace and harmony is possible, obviously, but the Berkians and the dragons are proof positive that humans and dragons can't coexist, but it will always come at the expense of one or both species. Because ever since I met you guys in 2010, there have been non-stop dragons coming after us, putting one or both the dragons and the Island of Berk in danger and in a line of harm. I mean, look what happened to my father. My own dragon killed him, but it wasn't really him. And you think more of this won't happen if the dragons continue to stick around? And that will only attract the threat that wishes to use the dragons for evil, because what can be used for evil can get turned around and be used for good. Hence, Toothless. The emotional gravity comes when I and the rest of Berk struggle to give up their respective dragons and give them the independence that they deserve. Because it was always about giving the dragons their free will, right? They don't need a master. They don't need a rider. They can have a rider, but you will be okay with or without the rider, the dragons say. And this is the moment that both Berk and the dragons can thrive exceedingly and abundantly on their own terms. So, a decade goes by, and yes, we did meet Toothless sooner or later, but that goes to show that no matter how far you and a close friend are, you guys will always be close together. Well, there's a 90% chance you will be on fire for this film and thus on fire for the trilogy. How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, finalizes this fire and brimstone of a franchise by bringing full circle to everything that had us in flames from the beginning, with its ambitious scales and themes of coexistence and, of course, dragons. I'll say this deserves a 9 out of 10 as well. A 90% chance that you will absolutely love this film, and I can say that this is easily the best and most consistent DreamWorks trilogy out of them all, making it one of the best animated trilogies and one of the best film trilogies out there, with an emotional goodbye to our beloved dragons. But I want to thank you all for joining me on this journey. And dragon or no dragon, when you make a friend that sticks closer than a brother, a friend that sticks closer than blood, even if that friend is a creature, an animal, Don't lose sight of your friendship. Don't lose sight of that bond, because the blood that you guys share in that bond is thicker than the blood that you have from your biological family, and thicker than any mud that comes your way. Ciao.